Now, cost of production may be defined as what it takes in terms of human and material resources in producing a commodity. Total cost consists of all the amount of what it takes to produce any commodity. So total cost of a firm is arrived at by adding the fixed and the variable costs. While the variable costs are the costs of resources which vary with the level of output, both in the short and the long run. The average cost or the average fixed cost is the cost per unit of output. That is the cost of a commodity out of all the products produced by a firm. While the average variable cost refers to the cost per unit of variable cost of outputs. Also, the marginal cost is the cost difference in producing an additional unit of a firm's output. You should note that this extra amount results from an extra unit of output produced. The marginal cost is gotten by dividing the changes in total cost over the changes in outputs. So looking at the relationship between the average cost and the marginal cost, as you can see, when the marginal cost is less than the average cost, the average cost falls because marginal cost pulls average cost down. Forward. Let's look at the short run and the long run cost. The short run cost is a production planning period in which at least one factor of production is fixed in supply. Note that in this period, a firm cannot vary all factors of production, while the long run cost is a production planning period in which a firm can vary all the factors of production to be in line with the level of demand. The similarities between the long and the short run cost is that both costs are production planning period. So we are going to look at how to calculate the various kind of costs. We have a table here. We have output, the average fixed cost, the average total cost, the average variable cost, and the marginal costs. The output is numbered from 1 to 5. So we have missing figures in the average fixed cost, the average total cost, average variable cost, and the marginal cost. It will be recorded to compute the average fixed cost. It is total fixed cost over output, while the average total cost is gotten by dividing the total cost and the output. Or you say the total cost is equals to total fixed cost plus total variable costs. So we are going to compute the diagram with the help of the total fixed cost, the total variable cost, and the total costs. So let's begin. We can redraw the table as you can see. So we are going to compute the total fixed costs. The total fixed cost for output 5 is average fixed cost multiplied by output, that is 18 times the output 5, which is equal to 90. For output 4, we have 90, output 3, 90, up to output 1, 90. So to compute the total variable cost, we are going to need the figures from the average variable cost as well as the marginal costs. So for output 1, we have these formulas. The marginal cost of the nth number is equal to the total variable cost of the nth number minus the total variable cost of the nth number minus 1. The marginal cost of 1 is equal to the total variable cost of 1 minus the initial total variable cost, which is 0. Then we have the total variable cost of 1 equals to the marginal cost of 1 plus the total variable cost of 0. Finally, we have the total variable cost of 1, which is equals to 50, plus 0 gives us 50 as the total variable costs. So we are going to use the same method for the total variable cost, the respective output from 1 to 5. We have 50 for the first output. Then applying the same formula for output 2, we'll say 50 minus 45, that is 50 from the marginal cost, and 45 from the average variable costs. So we have 45 times 2, that is the output, gives us 90. So we'll look at the third output. We have 45 for the marginal cost. Yes, we have 45 for the marginal cost. So here we say that the total variable cost of 3 is equal to the marginal cost 3, output 3, minus the total variable cost of output 2. So that gives us 135. So for output 4, we say total variable cost of output 4 is equal to the average variable cost of 4 times the outputs. 48 times 4 gives us 192. For the same method for output 5, we say 52 times 5 gives us 260. Moving forward, the total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus the total variable cost. So when you add 90 and 50, gives you 140. 90 and 90 gives you 180. 90 and 135 gives us 225. 90 and 192 gives us 289. And for output 5, 90 plus 260 gives us 350. As you can see, we have completed the total costs. So we are going to proceed by looking at the average fixed cost. The formula for average fixed cost is total fixed cost divided by output. That is, for output 1, we have 90 divided by 1, gives us 90. For output 2, we have 90 divided by 2, gives us 45. Output 3, 90 divided by 3 gives us 30. Output 4, 90 divided by 4 gives us 2.5. Then output 5, 90 divided by 5 gives us 18. So for average total cost, the formula is average total cost divided by, or the total cost divided by the output. So output 5 will have 140 divided by 1 gives us 140. Output 2, 180 divided by 2 gives us 90. Output 3, 225 divided by 3 gives us 75. Output 4, 282 divided by 4 gives us 70.5. Then output 5, 350 divided by 5 gives us 70. So for average variable cost, the formula is total variable cost divided by the output. For output 1, we'll have 50 divided by 1 gives us 50. Output 2 has already been solved for us. The answer is 45. Output 3, 135 divided by 3 gives us 45. Output 4, and 5 has already been solved. So lastly, we take the marginal costs. The marginal cost of the nth number is equal to the total variable cost of the nth number minus the total variable cost of the nth number minus 1. So for the first output, that is for marginal cost of output 2, because 1 has already been solved, we'll be having 90 minus 50, which is equals to 40. The third one has already been solved for us, so we'll go to the fourth one. The marginal cost of the fourth output is 192 minus 135 gives us 57. Then for output 5, we have 260 minus 192 gives us 68. I want to believe that this example that we've just solved now is clear. Ensure you attempt all quizzes and assignments in this module. See you in my next class.